All right, let's just jump right into this explainer. We are going to experience the Chicxulub asteroid impact, literally minute by minute. Together, we're going to see how an absolute ancient apocalypse, a moment of just pure unthinkable devastation, actually paved the way for human evolution. It's a massive, super dramatic story, and will break down exactly how our entire world was transformed in just a matter of hours.
As our source material beautifully puts it, there was a time when the Earth breathed in silence. Seriously, just picture it. We're zooming way, way back to the Cretaceous period. This is a totally vibrant world, completely untouched by anything even resembling humans. The forests literally seas of green, the oceans absolutely teeming with light. Life was just flourishing everywhere. It was wild, it was ancient, and, crucially, it was blissfully unaware of what was hurtling towards it.
You see, the Cretaceous world had this incredibly strict, almost perfect hierarchy. It was an ecosystem that was flawless in its ferocity. Just think about the scale of these creatures. You've got the T-Rex, the undisputed 2-ton king of the land, driven by instincts as old as the dirt itself. Then there's the Triceratops, just roaming around in these massive herds under a sun that literally never saw winter. Look up and you've got pterosaurs, these enormous creatures cutting through the air like living sails. Down below, ankylosaurs are slowly lumbering around, basically acting as heavily armored living shields. And hey, even microraptors, right? These primitive birds just kind of figuring out how to fly among the trees. It was this beautiful, fragile, harmonious balance, just packed with absolute colossi.
Now, I really want you to imagine the stark contrast of this exact moment. Down below, you have this completely unaware Earth. It's a seething planet of blooming flowers, thriving herds, endless blue skies, a place where life just adapts and multiplies. But lurking way up above, an inevitable threat. We're talking about a single fragment of rock, born from the collision of ancient celestial bodies that had just been traveling completely invisibly for millions of years, cruising right through the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, silent, invisible, and hurtling straight toward a totally vulnerable planet.
So let's track how unbelievably fast this threat actually escalates. Millions of kilometers out, right? And then suddenly it enters Earth's neighborhood. Just months before impact, it gets snagged by Earth's gravity and starts accelerating. Fast forward to T-minus hours. It crosses the moon's orbit, its path tilting directly toward our atmosphere. And then T-minus seconds. It hits the thickest layers of our atmosphere. The air compresses, it heats up, and bam! This rock transforms into a blinding, fiery orb dead set on the Yucatan Peninsula. Just like that, in a matter of moments, the fate of the dinosaurs was entirely sealed.
The speed of this thing, it's honestly almost impossible to wrap your head around. This fiery orb was tearing through the atmosphere at a staggering 70,000 kilometers per hour. 70,000! It was growing brighter by the literal second, and the friction from its wake ignited the atmosphere. It literally lit up the daytime sky like 1,000 suns.
And then, we have to talk about the size. This rock was 10 kilometers wide. Think about that. That's essentially the size of an entire city, just falling out of the sky. It wielded a destructive force that is completely beyond any weapon humanity could ever even dream of conceiving. Down on the ground, the dinosaurs were living through their very last dawn. The birds stopped singing, the animals froze, and the sky itself started to change color as the whole Earth just held its breath.
And then came the flash that literally blotted out the sun. Boom. The immediate impact released energy equivalent to more than 100 million megatons. To put that into perspective, that's just mind-bogglingly powerful. The roar of the impact didn't even have an echo because the sound wave itself surpassed the speed of sound. The Earth's crust just folded up like a flimsy veil of sand. Rock actually melted and the sky ignited.
This triggered the most terrifying, immediate chain reaction you could possibly imagine. Step 1, the sea explodes upward, just vaporizing in an absolute instant. Step 2, a monstrous tsunami, 1 kilometer high, sweeps across the oceans, completely devastating coastlines thousands of miles away. Step 3, all those fragments of rock and metal that got blasted into space, yeah, they come falling right back down, raining over the entire globe like incandescent little stars. And finally, Step 4, the planet's surface turns into a literal 1,000-degree furnace. The air itself became a flame, and the ground flowed like melted glass.
The strike left this massive, hidden scar forever etched into the Earth. We're looking at a crater that is 20 kilometers deep and 180 kilometers wide, now buried beneath the sea. The shock waves from this monstrous impact circled the globe multiple times, just bouncing off oceans and mountains. And with every single brutal vibration, it erased a forest, a lake, a heartbeat. In just a matter of hours, entire thriving ecosystems were simply wiped off the map.
Well, as you might guess, this triggered a brutal but entirely logical collapse of the food chain. The immense amount of dust kicked up by the impact blocked out the sun entirely, for months, maybe even years, plunging the world into an eternal twilight and just tanking the global temperature. Because of that lack of sunlight, photosynthesis stopped dead in its tracks, meaning plant life died off. And without plants, the herbivores starve. Those majestic herds of triceratops just collapsed, consumed by hunger and the freezing cold. And once the herbivores are gone, the carnivores starve too. Even the mighty T-Rex was left to perish, wandering through charred trees looking for literally anything to eat. The earth had been turned into a frozen tomb.
The sky, which was once this beautiful blue, had become a massive, ugly wound of smoke and flame. The day turned black. And in that silent, liquid darkness, a fine, dense ash began to fall. It covered the seas, it blanketed the mountains, and it fell on the open eyes of the fallen giants. The ancient monsters vanished one by one, not all at exactly the same time, but in a slow, incredibly merciless fade.
But here is where it gets absolutely fascinating. Beneath that thick, gray blanket of ash, an incredible, stubborn roster of survivors was actually clinging to life. You had insects hiding deep down in the mud, amphibians somehow surviving in the poisoned waters, forgotten little seeds buried deep in the cracks of rocks, and crucially, tiny, wary mammals taking refuge in the shadows. Right there, in the absolute darkest moment of our planet's entire history, the future was quietly beginning to take shape.
We are witnessing the ultimate changing of the guard here. On one side, you have the sudden, tragic end of the Age of Reptiles, an era of absolute titans that ended in fire, ash, and merciless starvation. But on the other side, the dawn of the Age of Mammals, an era that literally began in darkness, mud, and super fragile adaptation. As the giant dinosaurs fell away, the creatures that had spent millions of years hiding in the shadows finally stepped out to claim the plains. The entire balance of life on Earth had shifted forever.
Now, over decades, the planet began this slow, frankly miraculous process of rebirth. Step 1, that choking dust slowly settles and the ice begins to melt. Step 2, a weak, pale sun finally filters back through those clouds of death, returning to warm up the blackened, scorched soil. Step 3, the rain comes back, washing the earth and allowing those tiny, forgotten, buried seeds to sprout into moss and ferns. And finally, step 4, life begins to dance again. But it was new. It was totally different. The Earth traded the immense, raw size of the dinosaurs for the highly adaptable, fragile intelligence of mammals.
Which really brings us to the most incredible twist of this entire epic. Like the source material perfectly sums up, it wasn't the end of life. It was only the beginning of us. The extinction of the dinosaurs wasn't just an end. It was the absolute vital spark that lit the next era. From all that terrifying destruction, the very seeds of our history were born. That single instant of pure, cosmic devastation cleared the stage for creatures capable of looking up at the sky, of remembering, of building, and of dreaming. Us.
So, as we look back at the history that is quite literally etched into our planet's rocks and fossils, it leaves us with one final, kind of haunting question. One day, our civilization too will end. But will life find a way? The sky might darken again, the tides will change, and the stars will eventually burn elsewhere. But the core lesson of Chicxulub is that life absolutely does not give up. It transforms, it adapts, and it starts all over again. The time that supposedly stopped on that fateful day just kept on flowing, right up to us sitting here today. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the incredible history right beneath our feet.